G'day everyone. So we're going to go through today a string for the Osage self bow there. Sorry, the workshop's a mess. I've been in here flat out today. So I've got my string jig set up. Super easy. 8 inches between this peg and this peg, and then 1 inch in between these two. This is your relief peg. This is your set your string length peg on this end, and then this one's your final string length. So when I run the strands out, this strand distance in between here is what I'll use to tie the loop. And then if we come down to the other end of the jig, this one's the same. So I measure my string from this peg back up to this peg, and it's 1 inch shorter than what my knock to knock length is in my bow, because I use D97 bowstring. So the Osage bow is a 66 inch knock to knock, so I've got these pegs set at 65. So I'm just going to run my strands out. I'll put the camera up, quickly run the strands out for this string, and then I'll get into it. Got a knife on the bench there that I'm going to need. I've got my loop packing strands cut there. They're 10 inches long, and I've got 4 pairs of 2. No, sorry, 4 pairs. 4 pairs of 2, so 8 strands all up. So I'll put you guys up here, and I'm going to quickly zoom in on the interesting bit. So got in focus. Alright, so I'll run these strands out. Bloke wants this bow at 60 pounds. 60 pounds, I'm going to run a 12 strand string. I could go as little as 8 strands if I wanted to, but that's a very, very narrow string. Might not be too comfortable for him. I'm used to it. Some people don't like it. Well and truly strong enough though. So I'll run these strands out. I'll run 12 strands out. 2, and I'm just going around the very outer pegs at the moment. There's 4. There's 6. There's 8. There's 10. And there's 12. So next thing I'm going to do, grab a knife, cut those strands off at the peg. Now I've got my 2 bundles of 6 that I can lay out there and start my twists. First, before I start my twisting, I'm going to add in my packing strands. There's a bit of wax on this string material already, so it will hold in there. If you put a bit of beeswax on it, it'll hold even better. Straight beeswax works really good, or commercial string wax even. Something like boning string wax is quite good. Some guys even make their own string wax blends. I quite like plain beeswax. So I've just pre-twisted those packing strands in. Now I'll start with a cross. This side is crossed over, so I'm doing a left-handed cross, so I'm crossing to my left as I look at the jig. I'm doing a right-handed twist, so I'm twisting both of the strands this way, and I'm crossing them that way. So twist and cross. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. There's 18 crosses. Check how big my loop is there. That's probably going to be okay for the the tip size. But 2 more in, so that I have one slightly smaller. So my second loop that I tie is going to only be 18. Put 20 in this one, so it's the upper loop. Same thing again, still that left-handed cross, so your hands are doing exactly the same thing. I'm just working back the other way so it looks opposite to you guys. And then we just work our string. And by having those pegs there, you can really keep an even pressure on your string as you're doing twists and the crosses, which really helps. So this is how I recommend that beginners learn to make their strings, because they can see everything they're doing, and having that peg there is like having an extra hand. And it makes a simple functional string. So that loop's done, got a bit of fray there, that's okay, we can blend that in with some wax, no issues. So next thing I'm going to do is get a little clamp and just clamp off my work, and then I'm going to flip this onto that inside peg at the other end. So the inside peg at the other end. Now what I'm going to do is get rid of all of this twist that I've worked into the middle of the string. So I don't want that there, so I'll just put my fingers in and just run it all out. Lose all of that, and then I can pull my strands back tight. Keeping your strands tight is important in making good strings. So now I'm back to having my 2 bundles again. Then I'll just repeat the process, same as before. Add in my loops, my loop pads, so pre-twist them, so same direction, I'm twisting them that way. Get a good twist and they will stay. Get the second pair, same thing. Twist them up so that they're stuck in there with that wax, and then repeat process. So start with a cross and then twist and cross. It's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, whoops, I only need 18, so we'll go back one. Right, so there's our 18 crosses, that's how big our loop's going to be. Pop him off onto the working peg, match left to left, right to right. This time we start with a twist to get them to bind in together, and then you go back to your cross pattern. So when you split your strands and tie your loop in, you start with a cross. When you start the loop back up in here, when you start the loop back up in here, you start with a cross, a twist, and then, a cross in this one, and then a twist in when you tie your loop together to bind the fibres up. So, and then we just work our way through, same as I did at the other end, tying all this loop pad, tie the free ends in. Now, if you want to get that nice neat taper that people do in strings, you can actually use this same jig and trim the ends. So before I even start any work, I would separate out my 6 strands on either side and trim them short. And then you can tie your loops. Right, so now I'm at this point. I've got the loop tied, the loop's all in, it's going to hold, it's going to sit, you take it off and it's not going to fall apart. But I've got a bunch of this counterclockwise twist in the other end of the string here. So what I've actually got to do is, with my hands, and this end is actually twist the string as if I was to shorten it. So I'm twisting the string this way because that's the same direction I did my crosses. So I'm trying to essentially shorten the string. I'm going to need to shorten the string anyway to get the bow to brace height. And then I just run my hand from one end to the other, and I also pull on the string somewhat and set it. And that will stretch out some of the twists in the string. Then you can take the clamp off and take it out of the jig. and there's the bowstring all ready to go. So what I'll do now is I'll see if I can set it up so you guys can actually see me brace the bow and have a look at it. Let's see if we can actually get it braced up, or otherwise I may need a stringer because it's going to be pretty hefty at the moment still. Just doing a quick little touch up on these knocks. Make sure the string isn't going to slip when I put them in. I know the knot limb is the top limb, so I can have a quick look and see which one is the bigger of the loops. So this one is clearly the bigger of the loops. So it'll go on the top limb and just sort of slide down to the spot. So I've actually twisted it up quite a bit too short. So if you twist your string up too short, it just takes and twists back out. It is going to stretch when I brace the bow anyway. See if I can get this string on here now. It should be right to get it on there. Yep, there we go. So string's on. So we'll look at brace. So, when you can't brace a bow, when I can't brace a bow, I know that the bow is around 100 pounds. If I can't push-pull string the bow, I know that it's going to be around that 100-pound mark. So this one is still a bit heavy, so I'll have to do some weight reduction. Or the other option is I cut a second groove to actually string it, but that's okay. I can do a little bit of weight reduction. I just don't want to do too much because I don't want to come in short of what I need. But that's a string made for this bow, and now I can continue in the build process. Hope that was helpful. Flick the channel a like and a subscribe. You'll find a lot more interesting information coming, and straight shooting. Thanks.